For those of you guys who are just joining us for the first time, we all know each other like in person. We've all ridden together. We've all collaborated in videos. And I'll leave links to some of those in the description. But Bill is actually a professional downhill racer. So he's the only one out of the four of us who actually knows what he's doing. Or there's actually proof that he knows what he's doing.
That's one way to put it.
Just tell them what you do.
Oh man, that's a long story, but basically was a professional downhill mountain bike racer, and kind of started a YouTube channel on the side. Originally, it was just to post videos of me riding to help promote myself, but after I really dug into YouTube, I noticed that there's a huge lack of skills videos. So I started creating skills videos to help people out, and then Seth popped up around the same time, and I think we both saw that there's a huge opportunity to help riders develop better skills.
In what way are you more well known, your YouTube channel or your downhill career?
YouTube by far. I always wanted to be known for downhill racing. In 2011, I finished fifth in the national championships. I won a few collegiate national championships, competed in World Cups, but that doesn't get you well known, because unless you're Aaron Gwynn and you're the top racer in the world, no one really knows who you are.
I think it's the same for BMX.
Aaron who?
Right.
I'm just kidding. I know who Aaron Gwynn is.
When you were just a professional downhiller and you're actually doing really well in the competitions, did anybody recognize you out on the trails?
People would recognize me at Highland Mountain Bike Park, which is only an hour and a half from my house, so it's pretty local. So people would recognize me there, but even there, the general public wouldn't know who I was. But now when I go to Highland, I can definitely see people kind of pointing, hushing, so I can definitely tell there's more I don't know, buzz when I go to Highland now.
Right, especially
shave that mustache and no one will recognize you.
I mean, are people recognizing you though because of your YouTube channel, or because you're sending backflips on hardtails?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that
I'm
helps.
curious.
More for the Huffy video, which surprisingly doesn't even have my face in it.
So before you got into downhill, you were a BMXer.
Yeah, but I kind of grew up in California for a bit, so I wasn't too far from Huntington Beach. Well, I was in Huntington Beach, but not too far from legendary dirt jump places like Sheep Hills, where Todd Lyons, Brian Foster, a lot of big names have come out of.
Survey of everyone here. How many people have cracked a helmet? And how many?
Every helmet ever owned.
We've all seen
how many?
Crack.
I've cracked pieces, but I haven't fully cracked a helmet.
No way.
I haven't yet.
I have a hard time believing that.
But you inspect the helmet and you see cracks in the
foam,
foam.
on the inside.
Yeah, nothing that bad.
What?
Phil's good at falling.
What about that urban DH crash you had, dude?
So the one in the race video was not bad at all.
Did you just slid outside?
Well, he also probably had a multiple impact helmet, right?
Yeah. He had a full face serious Troy Lee helmet or something.
IXS. Sorry, I have to plug my sponsor. My crash in practice for that urban race was a bad crash. Actually, 9 seconds into wearing that helmet for the first time, I went over the bars and just smashed my head on the ground. It was bad.
And that's stone.
It was asphalt. So yeah.
Yeah, the entire course is concrete. It's some mountain bike trails are rocky, but there's a little bit of dirt. So those urban courses, how many of those have you ridden, or was that the only one, or?
That's the only one. I was invited by a friend who knew the event organizer, and so that worked out well. That was kind of the beginning of when I started to get out of downhill. Last year I didn't really have a great season, and it might be partially due to that crash. I just wasn't pushing myself as much.
Let's go back to BMX for a second. At what age did you start doing BMX competitively?
5.
5. So you were BMX racing helmet bigger than your head, the little lollipop kid, their heads look like lollipops, and they're just.
So if I have
yes, we would love to see.
This was me when I was 7 years old, and that's actually a PK Ripper or Mini Ripper.
Do you have the fork disconnected from the?
I broke the head tube.
Okay, but the seat is so far back, it's like, what the hell is going on in that picture? But yeah, it's all...
Yeah, that's amazing.
I don't break helmets, I break top suits.
At what kind of accomplishment? Like, what were you just locally racing, or?
I went to Worlds in 2000. No, in 1999, I finished 8th in the World Championships.
Wow.
Okay, I went to Camp Woodward for a few summers, but I wasn't racing at all.
Hey, when did you go to Camp Woodward? What year?
2003 and 2004.
Oh, that was like 3 or 4 years after me, which makes sense because you're like 3-4 years younger than me. Did you enter the height contest when you were there?
I did.
How did you do?
11 feet.
11 feet?
Dang, dude.
11 feet. I tried 12 feet and failed massively. The first time I tried, I did 10, and then the next year I did 11.
Is this on a bowl or a half?
No, this is on a ramp. It's like a resi ramp, so it's a box jump.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they put this bar, they keep raising this bar higher and higher, and then your wheel hits, and I think they give you like one more shot or something.
Yeah, you have 2 shots.
You have 2 shots, and then you keep going until somebody makes it over the higher one. And I don't know, some kid, they named him Long Island, and he made it like 12 feet, and we were like, bah! But yeah, but I got a terrible 1 shirt when I won. What did you win?
I can't remember. I was the king of product tosses at that place. I came back with so much free gear. It was awesome, which was cool because like I would never go out and buy like a product shirt or anything.
I'm trying to imagine Camp Woodward right now, and it just sounds like a disaster with a bunch of 15-year-old kids that are just
exactly
like adrenaline junkie psychopaths that have no regard for anything. Like a bunch of dudes, right? And like,
dude, you're 100%
like trying
right.
to one up each other and like breaking stuff and like, I'm the biggest badass here.
And there's girls too. I mean, I'm sure now the girls ride like BMX and skate and everything like that, but back then the girls just did gymnastics.
Yeah.
So there was a whole gymnastics section, and they just stayed as far the hell away from us as possible. But yeah, you pretty much summarized it. I mean, people playing jokes on each other in the bunks, like you get in your like bed and there's like freaking your whole bed's covered in shampoo, and then you get the other guy back, like, drop a deuce in his bed or whatever.
Man, Camp Woodward, looking back, was so, like, at the time, it was, like, the funnest thing ever. Now, looking back at it, it's exactly what Brian said. It's so weird.
How did they get insurance?
Like, I don't think I took a shower until, like, my 5th day there. Like, I can't ride a BMX bike anymore. I get on those bikes, and they just feel too twitchy.
Do you get comments from people asking you to ride BMX or do BMX stuff?
Oh, yeah, and I've thought about it.
I kind of want to get back to it too, but every time I get on the BMX, I'm off the bike for 3-4 weeks because, like you said, it's so twitchy.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it because you can throw the bike around, and the whole thing's made out of like steel essentially, so you're not going to break anything unless you do something really, really stupid.
You can bail.
Yeah.
Because when you bail on a mountain bike, it's like half the time you break something.
Yeah, half the time you crash on a mountain bike, well, you just did $100 worth of damage.
Yeah.
And you're off the bike for another 2 weeks until that part comes in.
Well, I want to know, okay, so I saw this clip, and it was a while ago, dude. I think it was the first time I ever saw a video of yours on YouTube. I did a little research, and what I came across was a Mountain Bike Mania video of you at some race, and the commentator's commentary of you as you were just charging this downhill was that you have a reputation for going hard and just choosing like the gnarliest lines possible.
Whoa.
Wow.
Getting rowdy already.
We were talking about
First
that in
turn.
the junior round, almost blowing off track, and that we saw it just happen right there, almost bite Phil right at the beginning of the run.
How do you think that came to be?
Well, again, I think that comes back to my dirt jump days where I just like to jump over things. So a lot of my solutions to problems was to just jump over the problem. Like
So you were just
that was my
everything.
Yeah, and actually last year's national championship, I got the biggest compliment of my life, and at that point, like I could have retired and like not raced my bike and been fine. So I was at the national championships, and there's like this super sketchy rock garden, and they called it the Widowmaker. And
That's always
Like,
bad.
Yeah, it was out of a blind left-hand turn. You compressed, and then you essentially had a double drop with some super, super, super sketchy rocks. But I noticed that if you compressed enough, you could potentially gap like 30 feet out and like catch this little transition. I think everyone had looked at it, but no one had seriously like decided, okay, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And then like after I just had too many issues with the other line, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna try it. And so sure enough, I did it, and it was right in front of Aaron Gwynn.
No way.
He was like, dude, that was the bossest thing I've ever seen.
That's awesome, dude.
So
That's
like,
amazing.
That's sick.
So at that point, like I was like, all right, I don't care what happens from here. I made it.
That is awesome. So how much competitive downhill are you doing now?
This year, I think I'm gonna just keep it to collegiate racing.
I can probably guess the reason for that, but what's the reason for that?
I would like to focus on YouTube a little bit more. Honestly, for the longest time, like you keep investing a lot of money into downhill and hoping you get somewhere. And I love it. I love the culture behind it. But at the same time, it's like, even if you're like the top 40 in the world, you're making a minimal paycheck.
So now you can sort of have your cake and eat it too. I mean, you can be good at riding, you can continue to progress, you can be known for it, and you can do all the things you're good at and
Help others do it.
eventually make enough back where it's worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I think it's more rewarding to help others than just help myself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know the feeling. And it's like people start depending on you.
That's like the coolest feeling ever. If you asked me, 5 years ago where I'd be, the last thing I would say is making YouTube tutorials, because I think at that point I didn't know how to edit. I didn't have a camera, so it all kind of like came together pretty quickly.
So March is coming up, and we're all going to go to the Fat Tire Festival, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
Brian, are
Oh,
you
yeah.
going to be able to make it down? We'll show you
no!
we'll show you an alligator.
Yeah, it's
I've never seen an alligator.
maybe. I'm maybe going to Australia, so
I
That's,
wouldn't hold it
on the
against you if
docket.
you went to Australia.
We picked one up.
Hold
So you'll
on.
see Crocs there.
I mean, the climate there is pretty similar. We can kind of get creative with the edit, like have a crocodile in the background. No one will tell the difference.
definitely.
Oh, no, there's always that commenter that's like, that's not an alligator. He's got a narrower snout.
Photoshop.
You know what I kind of want to do when I'm there? And you can't hold me to it, but I want to hit that big double after the D2, or is it the D3? That'd be cool if you could coach me through that double.
Yeah, sure.
We should probably try and do some of the bigger drops there, too, next time.
I would like to try to hit that one drop that's never open.
That
That they
massive
open just
thing?
for that. Yeah.
The one with the chain across
Yeah.
the top, where you have to unchain it to do
Yeah.
it. They're all named, like, there's the D1, the D2. I guess that's, like, what, the D5 or something like that?
Probably.
28-foot step down or something?
I mean, I always measure a drop in like the height, and I think they said it's around like 15 to 17. I mean, it's like whether you're measuring the hypotenuse, that's a word I haven't used in a while, or the drop. I usually just measure the drop.
Yeah.
Why would anybody want to measure the hypotenuse? Why wouldn't you just measure it by how far you're dropping?
If you have a curb and you jump like 30 feet past the curb, did you just do a 30-foot drop?
Right, that doesn't make any sense.
Like, I actually don't know what the biggest drop I've ever done is. I think the biggest drop I can think of might be the one that I did on the hardtail at Highland.
The pink bike one?
Yeah.
Really?
How big is that? I was gonna ask.
I actually don't know. I've heard numbers like thrown around. To me, like, if I had to guess, it's probably around 14 or 15 feet tall. But then again, like, your memory always like over exaggerates things.
So your YouTube channel used to be Phil Kmetz, and now it's Skills with Phil because everybody knew you as Skills with Phil because that's what you're titling the videos. So what's the future of Skills with Phil?
So I'm trying to like keep people entertained, but also keep people educated about certain things. I just got that gimbal, like dorking around with it, trying to figure out like how I want to incorporate that into my channel. And at the same time, I don't want to copy what Brian's doing, and I don't want to copy what you're doing or Alex is doing. Like I'm trying to figure out like how to do it in my own voice.
Yeah. Have you seen any other like skill channels? I know you guys are like on YouTube and seeing suggested videos, like people that are doing sort of what Phil and I do.
Sam Pilgrim, he's starting to branch out and do it.
You know, I gotta watch his videos more.
And he does a whole bunch of different stuff too, which I enjoy. He does, he'll play games
very
of bike,
entertaining.
and he'll do some of the skill stuff, and then he'll just do some ride videos or some shredits. And obviously, it's Sam Pilgrim, so he just rips.
There's definitely a few people doing it, and then like I see a bunch of like, I don't know, like Sam's bike hacks and people who are
JBXC.
I haven't seen any like skills with Bill or skills with Will yet.
Well, anyway, thanks for joining us today, Phil.
Well, thank you. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and so the reason why one thing we have not addressed is that Alex is in my office and not in his office. And that's because we're leaving tomorrow for a bike packing trip to Key West. And I'm not going to give too many details. Believe me, we're going to give you the whole story. But we haven't had lunch, so we're going to get the Huck out of here. We'll see you guys next time.